Let's see if we're live again in the morning. It looks like we are. See if anyone turns up. Oh, whether Lewis or Jess or Chris have stolen the show today. Hey, ITCX. Looks like you get first. Hey, Mike. Been a few days since I've seen you, Mike. And nothing too interesting to start off with this morning. I've just got a screen replacement. Another iPhone 6. Got to keep those dollars rolling in. And I had misplaced my spudger. That's a janky one. Spudgers, where are you? Nope, not there. Oh, my spudgers. Ah, great. Well, normally I've got a bunch of spudgers lying around, I don't know where they are. I know what happened to my normal one. It got used last night when I was mixing the epoxy. Let's see, and you're the epoxy one. Which means now I'm going to have to get my knife and trim it back. I see the backlight here is a bit of a problem. Let's see if I can adjust that by putting a somewhat blinding front light on. Seems like it's... And I can't control that camera. Well, it looks like everyone's turned up in the meantime. Let's see. It is morning here, by the way, deadboards. Hey, Trinity, Alan, Greg, of course, TCRS, CryJ, Leslie, too, and World Tech Fix, Murder Man. Okay, it seems like the whole crew's here. Doesn't matter, everybody bored. Really must be no other streams running. Normally at this time of the morning I wake up and I see that Chris has streamed, Jess has streamed, Lewis has streamed, and I've missed everybody's entertainment. And then I start the day out all grumpy because I'm like, I missed everybody. Because the solution for me there is to wake up earlier. It's currently 10:30 here. And I'm feeling a little bit of a train wreck because I had to stay up last night late fixing another computer for an emergency, another business. I don't know exactly what was wrong with that machine, to be honest. It was one of those horrible, well, I've done all the usual things and cleaned up everything I could and it seems to be running alright now. But you're always in the back of your mind wondering what exactly was the original problem and will it come back tomorrow? It's very annoying when you don't have a definitive diagnosis. No audio? Really? It should be coming through. And it should be, hey, this is being repaired by someone who's not me. And the way I know that is there's no compression pads on these connectors. Yeah, the little foam pads. And it doesn't have, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have my marks on it. Hey Bobby. Health issues, yeah, that's never any fun. You got my full sympathies there. This was done probably by Janky store in town, which doesn't mean me. And I'm an idiot, and I just did that without taking the battery off. Welcome to why YouTubing is bad. When you're doing tech stuff first thing in the morning, you do stupid things like not disconnect the battery. I should be alright on that one, because I was disconnecting it, and with a plastic spudger, it shouldn't have shorted out anything. And on the other hand, if I was reassembling it, then there would have been a reasonable risk of blowing the backlight circuit, which I'm really not in the mood to deal with today. Briefly went into the sea 6 months ago, is now having charging problems because it's working fine. I don't need to do anything separate. Oh yeah. Funny story, someone bought a big bag of rice through my Amazon affiliates. So they obviously went through with the descriptions and whatnot below. There's no rice in there, but maybe they thought, oh, these technical solutions are too much, I'll just go buy a bag of rice. I wonder if it fixed it or whether they were actually just eating it. They probably were just eating it. Come on. Come on. Up you come. There you go. Low GI rice. Normal rice only works for a few weeks. I have got myself a couple of Dehydrator packs. They're basically rechargeable silicon bead bricks. And they've got a built-in heater inside the brick. So when you plug it into the mains power, it dries them out so that they're ready again for use. It's quite a nifty little thing. Obviously not much good for significant water damage, but if you have already ultrasonicked it and done all the rest, the distilled water and then the alcohol, they can sometimes be useful to put it in that any container with that brick and leave it overnight or so if you really want to get those last little bits out. Okay, see if we've got any other damage in here. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, on first impressions, the rice, what the, is this right? Yeah. The rice theory seems to make sense because you're like, well, yeah, I mean, I boil rice and it sucks up a lot of water. So from that standpoint, there is a degree of logic. And what in the heck? Alright, as soon as my supplier decide to change the way they're gonna, oh man, my fingernail's not, come on, there we go. Supplier has changed the way they bind these down. I'm really not a fan of people putting Captain tape onto these things. Not because there's a problem with the tape per se, but just simply I don't like having to apply stress onto these flexors. Oh, you see, that's annoying. What I'm doing is I'm just verifying that I haven't blown the backlight circuit here. There's not much point putting it back together if I have. Yeah, we're good. Trinity, yeah, you're welcome. Sometimes I'd forget to. It's something I added a couple of weeks ago, but I do. Sometimes when I'm in a rush, I don't add it in. The trouble with adding the chat window is with Open Broadcaster, you have to reassign or reselect it every single time you start up, which can be a little bit of a, yeah, it's an extra step, and sometimes you just forget those extra steps. Yeah, I don't even see the point of having the Captain Tate on those flex cables. So it's certainly not helping you with the installation. On the 6S I found it a fair bit too. Do not be one of these ones. If you are, I will be very mad. Every now and then you get screen assemblies that the home button recess is like a smidgen too small, and there is no way you can get that out. You can't bore it out or anything like that. Believe me, I tried, particularly on the old iPhone 4S, 4S. You try to like get a glass grinding bit or something like that. It never works. You just end up with this perimeter around the home button that's all just jagged. There's a, I don't know what I've done with my. Yeah, this is a common theme with my streams, is I always seem to forget where I put everything. It's because instead of finishing my jobs properly, like let me renovate my workshop and finishing that job, I sort of get to about 80–90% of that job, and then I'm like, I gotta get to the other stuff. And because I don't finish it properly, it leaves things in disarray. And because things are in disarray, I never seem to have things organised where they should be. It's a very bad trait I have. It's something I've been fighting with pretty much all my life. Paul, good morning. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that, always, but you know that. Yes, that's a good question there, CryJ. Paul, how is your back? I know you suffer pretty damn bad for that. Back in ER? Oh no, it's not good. I'm blessed in not having back issues myself. I have other minor issues, but back issues I've noticed are very extraordinarily crippling. And for that I'm very thankful then that I only have other issues. It's funny with the iPhones or any phones, when they first come out and you have to do your first screen replacements or you work on them, at least for me, it's always such a terrifying experience. It takes forever, and it's a fight between, am I going to stuff up something just through not doing it right, or am I going to stuff up something because I can't keep my hands steady? And then after about 10 or 20 times around, you finally settle down enough and it becomes rather blasé. Like now with these 6s, it's like, whatever. And the same with the 6S for me. I found it quite daunting initially, but now it's like, oh yeah, another 6S, no problems. Which is why it'd be nice to be able to be at the point where when a new phone comes out, you can just go out, buy a couple of them, and just go wild with it. practice to your heart's content. And if you stuff it up, no biggie. It's your own phone. You're not destroying someone's data or anything like that. Just having that opportunity to skill up on something without the risk is a nice thing to have. Like I said, unfortunately, I live in a town where there is a number of people who will eventually at some point go, look, no, you can't guarantee anything, but can you please just give it a go? And no problem if it doesn't work out. We just want you to have a shot. And that's how I got started with all this in the first place, particularly with the iPhones. I had a client who persisted and persisted and persisted for me to fix their iPods, and they even went out and bought all the eBay kits and just dumped it in my lap one day and said, look, just give it a go, no loss either way. Because the iPod's probably not the best thing to start on, because that's a tricky little bugger with all its heat requirements to get off the glass and things like that. Nonetheless, managed it. The 4S and the 4, they were a nightmare too, because as any of you know who have disassembled those things, they've got a billion screws in them and a few little tricks, like when you try to route that cable through for the screen back into the chassis. I've had a lot of those come in from people who have read an iFixit guide or something like that, and they almost always split the flex from the screen along that loop. Let me just check what's going on here. Am I a winner? No. I gotta check these things in the middle of the day. It's half 11. Okay. Just someone telling me they're bringing forward the appointment from the pre-scheduled 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock, which is in half an hour. Tired Techie, popping in just to say hi at 2:30 AM. We'll watch the recording. No worries, we'll enjoy the sleep. Hey Mike Hayes. Finger control, yeah, the devil definitely does. Yeah. Coffee, I've had my first coffee of the day, and I must say it was actually a very good one. Even though I do it the same way each time, some days it comes out good, some days it comes out terrible, some days it's brilliant. What am I looking for? I'm looking for some compression pads. There we go. What's this screen? This screen is a broken one from yesterday that I did replacement. So we'll take them. I mean, technically you don't have to put these pads on, but it does give a little more security in the event of a bump or something like that. The iPhone 4S was particularly dependent on them. I know I would get quite a few repairs coming in where the person dropped it, screen goes out, the lock plus home combo restart wouldn't work, and all it was that sometime in the past someone had done a screen replacement, but they didn't put the compression pads on there, so it just pops right off. Hey, hemmed it. Oops. Checking. Yeah, can't see my cat anywhere. I just needed another compression pad, the one for the camera sensor flex. I just use a surgical knife to get them off. You got to get the angle right when doing that though, because if you go in too shallow, you actually separate the adhesive from the foam. If you go in too deep, you just dig into the metal. Well, they haven't even got the home button one. Bloody hell. When will it end? So I know it definitely wasn't my work, this previous one. It's all these small steps that make a difference between, you know, your super cheap around the corner at the mall kiosk repair and a technician that actually cares about your experience with the phone. And I understand why they end up doing it, because they're pressed for time. Yeah, they're just employed for whatever they're employed for, $5 an hour probably if they're lucky. And they've just got to churn through these every day. They'll probably have a rate of like, well, we'll give you $2 for each phone you get done for the day. Something ridiculous like that. A lot of these people are not working for normal daily wages. They will be off the books. Family type business. The hobby business has been slow the last couple of weeks. Bobby, what's your hobby business? Deadboard Live. Had to reboot. Must have been a hack. Them crazy hackers, man. They get into everything. I do have to laugh to myself when people refer to me as like, oh, you're a programmer, you can hack into all sorts of things. It's like, no, I can't. I don't know anything about hacking. It's like, if you ever think that I've hacked into something, it's probably because I just simply, it wasn't even hacking to begin with. It was just, oh, press this button and you'll get in. Do not do any hacking. I will reverse engineer stuff. In fact, most of the time I do reverse engineer stuff to get jobs done, because there's no documentation or whatever. Like with the pads PCB format, working hard to try and decode that. Thankfully Pernov is helping, which is really good. When it comes to difficult formats like the PCB format, having multiple sets of eyes really can help a lot, because you get different perspectives on, different people pick up different things in the code sequences, and then you can put them all together and have your little breakthroughs and finally get it to work. There we go. Hacker McHackface here. Huh? DD rescue question. If one runs a command line with your parameters, if the results show no errors, it means there was no issues reading the petition. That is, it means there was no issues reading the sectors or the data and all that. But it's not to say that the data itself isn't corrupt on there. I mean, your petitions could be completely trashed, but it does mean physically there's no read issues. There is a second issue in that DD Rescue predominantly works on reading, but it doesn't test writing. So it can be the rare occasion where your drive will read perfectly well, but there can be a problem with the write sequence. We did add a new feature into DD Rescue where you can basically make it write back to itself. So if you like go device SDA to device SDA, it will then do a read and write test concurrently. There's always a risk with that, mangled data being written over good data, but if you've already made a clone of it, then you can do a write test like that, and it's quite useful to do. Well, Tech, I used to do TV repairs too. Ooh, yeah. I never was a fan of TV repairs because of the tubes. I got blasted once because I didn't do the discharge correctly under the high voltage cap, and I pretty much said, nope, that's not for me. I'm not into this. And then I went into all computer electronics more than anything else. Everyone who's watched me write code, see specific kernel code, thought that I was hacking into something. Yeah, exactly. I will repair LCD screens. I do that fairly often, like monitors. Not the big TV ones though, but yeah, PC monitors I often do. The other month I woke up and one of my screens was down, and it was a screen I needed. So I'm half asleep and I'm having to fix that thing up. Fortunately, it just turned out to be bad caps in it, which is pretty easy to fix. So, reading Linux from flash drive to access files without Windows password has amazed people. You're a serious hacker there, Motorman. What kind of camera did you order for the microphone? I haven't ordered one yet. I'm still accumulating the funds to get it, but it will be the Sony. There's a Sony sensor one. Let's see if I can find it. I've got it in my list somewhere. Stuff I want. There we go. Open a new tab. Copy. Q's, that's the one that I'm planning on getting, and the AliExpress. Zapped myself many times, 50,000 volts, yes, that's why I don't like doing them. Alright, that's good, I'm happy with that. Put that aside. If you guys can give me 2 minutes, I've got to go and check, see where my cats are, and I'll be back. Alright, cat's duly confirmed in location and health, so that's all good. And this is the laptop from last night, the one we're doing the hinge repair on. Any advice on good affordable tweezers? Hummed it when I find out, I will let you know. I'm going through the process of buying a bunch and trying out different things. I think also what it comes down to is personal preference. I have a suspicion that when it comes to these ultra-fine jobs, that personal preference is going to be a big factor. I just ground these ones down with a pair of files this morning. And it's amazingly difficult to get the ultra-fine points that they normally come with. I can file it down to probably about 0.2, 0.3 mil, and then that's it. I can't go any further. I mean, these will stab you in the skin easy enough. That bit of Captain Tape stuck there, so I guess I'm going to leave it there. No point trying to yank it out. Stop checking mains filter caps because none of them were ever charged. It used to say, I have a pair of white spots on my finger and a sore arm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nothing like spot welding yourself. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a delicate operation initially. That's what I've done. Now to bind this in properly, to make sure I got the captive nuts in the right place, I had to put a screw into here. Now these ones are fine because they're permanent screws, so they are internal. But this one has to come out. So hopefully I can get it out without damaging anything, because it has got a little bit of... It should come out because the... Yeah, here we go. It's all good. The JB weld is very good for holding a lot. It is quite strong. But when it comes to screws, and in like the blind studs like that, captive nuts, if you need to set it up and line it up, you just tighten it up how you want, ready, to the full depth, and then let the JB weld go all around, and just clear away any excess that goes over the top. And then when it's set the next day, you should be able to just unscrew it, and it will come straight out because the JB weld doesn't have the strength in the way that will bind the screws, and it will not wick up through the threads. It isn't, its viscosity is such that it will not do that, particularly with these ultra fine threads. So yeah, so don't worry about that. Don't get all pedantic about trying to clear it away, or put oil or Vaseline or anything on that in the bottom. Anything, just screw it up how it should be, and then pour the JB Weld around, and you should be fine. And if it gets stuck, well, oh well, what you gonna do? Complain to me? Probably. Let's see if this thing even opens without killing itself. Yeah, I think I might fully set it up before I do anything. I'm supposed to be watching the security screen TV for my customer. Hey Penov, I was just promoting your contributions, telling everyone that you've already fixed up the PCB format, and I know you haven't, but I've got some fun here. I'm going to have to, there was a bit of seepage, and I'm going to have to dig that out. This is actually my fault, in the sense that I didn't assess properly where that board was sitting. There it is. So I have to carve this out. Tried ceramic teasers, but always seem to crack out. I concur with that. In theory, they're great. They really are. In practice, I find that the realities of what you're doing tend to override. You only have to get caught out 1 second. Like, yeah, you sort of think, oh, I'll just use these to do what I want rather than changing over to the proper tweezers. And that is when you'll crack your ceramic ones. Because if you're the sort of person that behaves very well with your equipment, then maybe you'll be okay. That's not me. Well, Pernov, you already picked up a few things that were different. This is going to be one of those formats that we're going to have to pick away at. And you watch, we'll just get it to the point where we can use it, and someone will go, oh, here's the full documentation. Sorry, I didn't realise you guys wanted that. And we're like, yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. Okay, how far does this sucker have to go? Oh man, that goes in a lot further than I thought. Wow. I really was asleep on the job. It's okay. Fortunately, you can machine JB Weld. When I say machine, I mean hack. Oh, plasmas. Oh yeah, hell no. I don't touch those. Not even close. I notice a lot of people trying to sell off their plasma screens at the moment because the electricity prices are obscene around here, and everybody's like realizing that the plasma screens use quite a bit of power, and particularly in summer, because I'll have the plasma screen in the lounge room watching TV, and I will have the air conditioner running. Now, of course, with air conditioning, you need, I think it's roughly about 2 times the power at least to extract whatever power you're putting in. So if your plasma is running at 1 kilowatt, then you're going to need to use up 2 kilowatt to get the heat out. So you've got a 3 kilowatt TV basically. Oh man, still gotta go further. Oh well, that'll learn me. As long as I don't ruin the hard work. And I can't lift this hinge back up because I set it permanently. JB Dust from Dremel is horrible. You'll be picking up JB World boogers. Great, that's nice. Yeah, well, same as UQs, I'm going to have to wait a little while. I mean, yeah, I've been spending the contributions on other things like picking up the better fume extracting and, yeah, just other things. I mean, I want to obviously have the camera as soon as I can, but one has to prioritize. I could have got a camera with the shipment originally when I got the microscope, but it kind of pushed the value a little too close to the $1,000 Australian threshold, and I didn't want to have a situation where I would be waiting on a customs notification to say, "Dear Mr. Daniels, we at customs have withheld this package from you until you can send us the appropriate paperwork and pay us the appropriate amount of money." So I wasn't really willing to risk that. Yeah, they'll have to be vacuumed out. Oh. Wonder, can I just cut away? No, they had to go. No, it's a magnetic sensor. Damn it. I had to go put a hall sensor under there? Why? I was hoping it'd just be a bit of blank circuit board and I can just go, oh, well, I'll clip that off. No, I put a hall sensor in there. So nice of them. Right, that broke off. Getting close. Getting close. I always try to keep my orders under $1,000 to avoid customs. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it has its pros and its cons. The whole $1,000 customs thing. On the upside, from a consumer perspective, it's a brilliant pro because you're able to order in a whole bunch of stuff at very low prices conveniently and not get penalised for it. And you don't even have to pay GST, so it's like $100 free. On the downside, if you're a retailer or a distributor or anything like that, you've got some difficult competition. What makes it worse is that within Australia, the postage system, the same one that delivers the international parcels, is so atrocious that half the time the overseas one arrives before your domestic one does. Man, feels like I'm picking out plaque from some teeth. It really looks like we have an alignment. That's good. We got it. It's per shipment, so you can have 100 shipments at $1,000 and they're not going to do any. Yeah, $999 and you're good. They are, however, cancelling that next year. I think they sort of realised, alright, it was maybe a little bit too kind. The main reason why they did it in the first place was because they just changed the customs software systems, and that was a marvellous disaster to say the least. And their systems couldn't handle the load, and of course they just didn't have the manpower to handle the ever-growing demand for international shipping, whatnot, imports. So there's a fine, we'll set the threshold to 1,000 because anything below that we're just losing money in terms of manpower. And so that's how it happened. And now I suspect they've found a more efficient way of doing things. Hey Scott, 25 per shipment, but for duties or taxes, 13. Oh, my customer is here, I'll be back later. Alright, we're back. Wasn't even the one that I was expecting, it was just a different person. What have I missed out on here? I'd love to visit Australia, but I'm scared the wildlife would kill me. Well, to be fair, I mean, we do overstate things a little bit for dramatic effect. I mean, there are certain precautions one must take, but then it's no worse than maybe going to Africa or something like that. At least in Africa, you can see what's coming after you. In Australia, you generally don't. The heat is what I'd hate. Yes, if you're living anywhere beyond, well, north of Brisbane, then the heat in general will be a little bit overwhelming. Up where I am, summer is really quite brutal. We spend most of the summer around about, well, certainly above 35 degrees, and we have an extended period above 38, which is quite difficult. Suicide squirrels. The squirrels are cute. Catching up. Oh, okay, I'm good. Alright, so that's in. Let's hope that works. There's no real way of testing it until I put the main board in and fire things up. Oh, well, if this amuses me, I'm not sure if it's going to show up in the camera, but like on the back of the CPU here, we've got all the decoupling caps, and they've just left one off. Just one. I don't know why. It's like, well, we'll put in pads for 12, but we're only going to put 11 on, so it amuses me. I guess that could be a penny pinching exercise. They may have decided, okay, well, look, the voltage rails are stable enough with that many, we didn't need the next one, we save ourselves 2 cents. And to be fair, if you're producing millions of these things, that 2 cents does add up. Oh man, this is worse than trying to put a MacBook board down. Okay. Still got small nightmares from the MacBook Pro that I did the other day, which was a 820, 3320 or whatever, 3332. That thing was just ugly to reassemble. Crikey, I've pretty much caught every single FPC on this, every single one here. There's another one hiding under there. Tennessee squirrels are not cute, they are insane. Can you come out without me destroying you, or you bastard? Gotcha. Oh, and now the keyboard one's back under. I gotta wonder, how do they make it so that they can rapidly assemble these, given that all these FPC cables just like to leap straight back in? I suspect it may be a case of when these things are freshly manufactured, the flexors are not, they're all just sort of straight. They're not, they haven't got a predefined kinks in them or bends or anything like that. So it's easier for the original installation than it is for any post-installation work. Okay, make sure I don't get one of my hairs. Come on, hair. Don't need a hair in the FPC. That will disrupt the signaling a little bit. Come on. Oh, I've got a customer. Okay, that was a great big Sony all-in-one machine. Always fun, those all-in-one machines. I like the concept of them, for the fact that it's just minimizes on various bits and pieces you've got to carry around. But I do wish they were a little more serviceable. Not a great fan of the habit of just simply having whopping great big plastic clips. That was actually a lot heavier than I thought, and I seem to have lost a little bit of my breath. Oh no, do not tell me you need to go under there. It's the last thing I want. Alright, it seems the fan wants to go under here. Did you put the power switch back in before? Yeah, that's what this flex here is. That was the one I was having all the dramas with, having to chop out all the JB weld. So it seems I may have to mutilate the fan instead. Because the problem is, this keyway here is to go around the shaft of the screw. And then I would say you tighten the screw down on top. But it's simply not an option, I don't think. I do not see that happening. So the easiest thing for me to do is to carve away this plastic here to make it fit. That's okay, I figured you were away. Still can't get over how many of these flexors are on this board. This is not really a profitable job, I'll tell you that now, in terms of time. But the only reason I'm doing it is because this is a regular client, and as such, I'm willing to put in a little bit of extra time for him to do this. Where do you go? There we go. With the more typical ones that I deal with, where it's the bottom bathtub design, they're usually quick and easy. I just go, oh no, there's another flex. Unbelievable. Can you come out? Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There you go. Thank goodness there's flex in the boards. So yeah, if it was a one-off situation, I would sort of go, look, you know, it's probably not worth it fixing it up for me. But I'll try and convey that it's actually for them. I really want to see that this boots, but I'm a little scared of putting strain on that before I've got the full case on, because the bottom of the case, it sandwiches this here, and it's just a little bit of extra force, and I kind of want it to be there. Hey ITM2, are you a fan of Tim Mitchell? Love his, but I actually don't know who Tim Mitchell is. I really don't. By the way, I've got no drop frames this whole time. Gotta love it, eh? And this is through Wi-Fi. I really don't get to know a lot of the popular people on the internet in terms of videos or just anyone, bloggers and things like that. I spend most of my time to myself and just working. It was purely by luck that I ran into Lewis Rossman's, and then Jason, STS, and Chris, and Jessa. It was all strictly just chance things. You probably know more about non-tech people on YouTube because my wife would have it on the TV as I go past. Alright, I'm going to carve this out, get the old Dremel out for that one. Use a crowbar, that's always a good fix. Tim is an Australian comedian songwriter. Okay, I definitely don't know him. Oh, Minchin. He's not from the Doug Anthony All-Stars, is he, from the old days? Because if he's Tim from the Doug Anthony All-Stars, then yes, I do know who that is. If he's not, I don't. Trying to decide which tool of terror I am going to. This one might do the trick. Yes, what I fix daily. You know, I need to get back to adding that into the streams and things like that. I will admit, since I've gone live streaming, I've been a bit slack. But I do need to get back to it. I've got to make a few other things. So life changes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm not a great fan of it myself, but this is a bit of a necessity. This is pretty close. What do I need? Looks like I need to gouge out more on the inner side here. Open wide, what is this? Dentistry? Homegrown dentistry. Oh, come on. Give me some more speed. Fortunately, this plastic doesn't seem to ball up like other plastic generally does. I mean, it's got a little bit of fuzzing, but some of them, they're really bad for balling up, and they just, yeah, they just stop your bit from being able to chew back in. Okay, we're good. We're good. I will say there is a bit of a design issue with this Dremel, in that when you're trying to change the bit and you've got to put the lock nut spanner on, you need to press this down and to lock it. And it's a little bit too close to this, and every now and then when I haven't been thinking, I just go press that when I've got the lock spanner in. And as you can imagine, the results aren't too pleasing. So it's a small design flaw. I guess everything has one. Okay, your top side, your bottom side. Okay. For another day, trying to remember where all the damn screws went back. There's a lot of screws on this board. Air filters, yes, or don't breathe. That's the other option. Just stop breathing. I mean, I know that was bad enough what I did then. But I feel sorry for the guys that work in woodworking or metal workshops and things like that all day, every day. It's got to be pretty tough on their lungs. Come on, I've got a bunch more screws. I've got to go somewhere. Definitely not you guys. Three to go. Three to go. Hey, DNM. No, unfortunately, Greg, they are not all the same size, which is greatly unfortunate. I don't have a Dremel, I just use a Dundee knife. It fixes everything, yeah. Other than if it doesn't fix everything, you can coerce people to fix it for you. I said get in. Good. Okay. I swear I put that keyboard one in, but obviously I didn't. Hey, Michael Sharp. Duct tape and yeah. Yeah, well, it looks like we've got 3 screws left. This isn't good. What have I missed? I mean, there's a marking here. I suppose I'll just cross-check with put the top deck over, and anything that's not covered by that, you know, is something you're supposed to put in. Okay, so that one's definitely one. So we're down to 2. This is why I generally like to get machines in and out as quick as possible, because your memory starts to get holes in it. That there, I'm thinking, is for the chassis. Yeah, it is. What about you? So normally on the board they mark with an arrow to say this is. That's another one there. They normally mark on the board with an arrow to say this is where the screw goes, and they indicate what size and everything it's meant to be. Like here, they've got metric 2, they've got an arrow here. They do a pretty good job in that respect. But every now and then, like over here and there, they don't put it down, so you don't know whether it's meant to be there or whether it's just some random hole. So I've got one left. This is going to be fun. Well, at least I can start routing my cables in now. And I find taking photos of the boards doesn't really help that much for this sort of situation. Working on an iBook G4, amazing what people still pay for. Really? People buy those things still? Okay. Yeah, the dual heat pipe situation. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. There's always such a, but it's a HP, so they're obviously thinking that it's going to be used in Antarctica or something. God damn it! Where is this last hole? Well, one left. And the sticky tape that doesn't stick again. That's always fun. Yeah. Although it's unlikely, it is possible that one of these, this last one, was part of a broken off section, or I don't know. I'm kind of wishful thinking there. Very wishful thinking. I genuinely cannot see. No. I'm going to load up the back so I can at least test the hinges and get this out of the way. And it's at this point you realise that absolutely nothing lines up because of the deformation. Lovely. Play back with the stream? Yeah, that's always a theory. The screw goes in, the factor bend over, it goes back at yeah. Oh, great, great. Now it's stuck down there. Beautiful. Just fucking beautiful. Let's get this off. Looks like we'll have to do some dremeling. Oops, no, you belong there. Okay, the problem we've got now is that this goddamn thing lifted up throughout the night, and now is it's now sitting proud of the chassis. I'd say what's happened there is that there's a natural gap normally between the screen and the body, and even though I set that in flush initially and the screws were holding it in, what's happened is throughout the night it's just sunk down a little bit. Yeah, I can see there's a distinct gap on the other side. God damn it. This is why I hate doing these jobs. Well, it opens up at least. And it didn't break apart, so that's always a positive. HP is still better than Mac, and definitely not on that one. I don't agree with that. Crap. Alright, time to gouge. All the fan screws in? Well, there is this one. Yeah, they are. There's, at least I'm pretty sure they are. Yep. But thank you for making me check. No, I mean, I don't mean that sarcastically either, by the way. I know it can be a little hard sometimes to differentiate between genuine thank you and sarcasm. So what I should be doing right now is working on the other machines in this that have come in. Instead I'm sitting here being a dentist, chowing away at things. Certainly not pretty, not even close to being pretty. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of HPs in any way, shape or form when it comes to laptops. They've always given me the most grief. More than anything, they're just their design principles, like for the chassis and whatnot. It just always feels like convenience of maintenance and things like that is a significant afterthought. Oh, that's nice. It's just freaking well jammed in there now. See if I can get a spudger in my eye like last time. Xena has popped on input protection. I don't think I have another. Okay, you got a Xena on the input protection. That's I'm presuming there's not a lot of current going through that. Is it operating as a just trying to do a crowbar situation, or actually no, you don't use Xenas in the crowbar. Come on, you bastard. Something else is obstructing this. Alright, all this little Dehydrator stuff here need to come off. Okay, it's all better. Oh, come on. I'm trying to get the screw to bite in and start threading. It's been a bit reluctant. The connector under RAM above the battery is missing a screw. Alright, I'll have a look at that. Okay, which connector we're talking about? This one here doesn't have a screw. The battery has got both its screws are in. This here is a, that comes from the, that's a hole for the whole outside plate. This here doesn't have, it's only got the one mount point. So I'll let you, hey Stray, yeah, I could go for the longer screw. The trouble is, if I go for a longer screw, then the match-up is going to be wrong, and what will happen is it will pull, what is it? It's going to pull this here, this stop cap. It's going to pull that clean off. The grey insert at the bottom was a piece you found loose. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, look, I'll be honest, I'm not fretting too much over it, that screw. I think as it is, it's going to be quite the miracle for us to get this sitting back down anyway. I'm not rightly sure right now where the high point is here. I definitely get bite when I put in the longer screw, but like I said, I'm worried about it tearing off the end stop. may carve all of this off since it's sitting proud. That's okay. It's pretty hard on video to spot everything as clearly as it is here. So, you know, I don't begrudge you one bit for that. I mean, geez, the number of times that when watching Lewis's videos that I have made him go back and look at something and it turns out that it was so whoops, sorry Lewis. I'd say for every 10 times I make Lewis look, it's probably right once. I did that to Chris along the other day too. Okay, this has to come off to the edge here because otherwise I'm risking myself. Now this is definitely a good way to get yourself injured because I'm putting a lot of stress on something, on a small tool that doesn't want to be highly stressed. So if you see a rainbow fountain of raspberry sauce, then you know what's happened. And I don't want to Dremel this one. For some reason that's actually particularly hard. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is, Greg. It's a bit hard to see, but I'm clearing away this stuff that's sitting proud. At least once I've cleared away this stuff, it should sit a little flusher, in theory. Theories are great. That is actually exceptionally difficult to get off. What have we got? A pair of nips. How utterly inelegant. And off that goes into the stratosphere. Yeah, so for those of you watching, wondering about business stuff, don't do this. This is a perfectly good way of wasting a good part of your day for far too little money. But on the other hand, if you're doing something for entertainment, then sure, do this. But from a professional perspective, absolutely not. What are you... Yeah, it's Jim. Okay, looks like I might have just enough now. Just, maybe, perhaps. Yep, we got by. Oh, we just ripped it out. That's what I was worried about. Feck's sake. Yep, there we go. No, it didn't have the strength to do its job in the first place. So I guess now I'm left with the question of, will that hinge hold itself without that? I mean, yeah, that was a lot of, yeah. I could do up another batch of epoxy and see how that goes, but yeah, bugger. I was worried about that. That is always a very weak point, and it looks like that happened. Yeah, well, the JB world is, you know, I mean, it is basically epoxy, so it's been over 12 hours already. The problem is that the positioning of this and the limited amount of surface area that it's got to work with makes it very difficult. The ideal substance for this sort of thing would be more of a plastic weld, like an actual solvent-based plastic weld, and that way you get the plastic to just melt and then reform. As far as I understand, I can't thermo weld this stuff. It just crumbles away. The other option I can do is I can do more JV weld, but I can just pull it all up around. But again, we're still very limited on the strength, because even though it's all pulled around, it doesn't come over this cap, and so you're still very much just limited to whatever the contact surface area there is, which is very limited, and maybe a little bit of side bonding friction there. So I'm going to have to think about that. I'll see if I can. There's got to be a way I can plastic weld this stuff, maybe. Payback for hating HP. I'm still going to hate on HP. This is a minor cost for the damage. 9 screws you removed. You actually count them, Brick Tech? That's pretty impressive. That's it. What have I got here? Oh, wait, under here. There we go. We found it. We found it. Okay, who was it that said about the fan? You've earned yourself one internet dollar. Because that's where it was. It's right under here. Snuck away. Right there. Bingo. We're good. 38 bone dead laptops here, and 19 of them are HP. Ah, there you go. I think HP makes some nice looking laptops, and yeah, certainly when they're running, they can have decent specs. Though I do wish they would stop putting all that HP assistant crap on their startups. Whenever I get a HP in, I remove that stuff. And same with ASUS. ASUS has the live update thing. They just suck up way too much resources. So I get rid of all that stuff, usually. Particularly if the machine's over 12 months old. Okay, well that's good. So basically what I've got to do at this point is redo this, come up with a better way of doing this, and yeah, at least we know everything else is good. It's a bit of a shame though. Oh well. Oh, DV6000. Oh, gee. The big problem up here, Amy, with HP is there's just not enough airflow for up here. They're constantly dying from heat-related issues, and then when you want to get to the fan, it's a nightmare. I'll be honest. So this one here is surprisingly easy to get to. You know, we just have to take the back cover off, and there we go. We've got the fan. But yeah, the DV6s, DV6000, that sort of thing, where you had to basically go on a week-long excursion to get to it. It was unbearable. And then there was all the little double back tricks of disassembly, like having to, with the keyboard, you had to unscrew the back half and then shift it back while still connected, and then get in, unscrew the keyboard and pull that out the front before you can take. Yeah, it was not very pleasant to work on. I mean, sure, there's millions of worse things to work on, but they didn't exactly earn themselves any friends, or not many anyway. At least that's from my perspective. And as I said, yeah, they heat up like anything here in the tropics. Toshibas, on the other hand, they can be a little bit weak and cumbersome, but at least when you open them up, they had a lot of airflow, airspace, and usually their cooling systems were up to spec. It all comes down to the model. I think HP did a lot of damage with their DV6 3000, 6000 type series. It was just too much of a nightmare. Yeah, the 6, those sort of things that were just, yeah. But this sort of layout, I don't mind so much. Their excess of cables is a little bit annoying. I suppose that's par for the course. It just seems to be more than usual here right now. And what have we got? You know, keyboard, touchpad. Okay, so we've got like a backlight here. MB, that's probably, don't know where that's going. Oh, well, there you go. Alright, so I'm going to have to clear this up a little bit more, try to fix up that end stop, and then this thing should be good to go. The hinge, the actual bonding of the hinge itself seems to be okay now, so that's good. Alright, well I'm now getting a little dry in the throat, and I've got other jobs I've got to go run off and do, administration work of course. But, oh, and I've got to get that phone back to that person. Whoops. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be back again in the next 24 hours or so, but who knows? Never can tell. If something interesting comes up, I'll give it a shot. In the meantime, everybody take care, and I'll see you all later.